Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and good night, and welcome to episode 42 of the Be More Today's show. We're in season 2, 2021 is here, and folks, welcome back. I'm just so happy to be here with you guys, and 2021 is here. 2020 is done. So happy about that, for one. And for two, super excited for this new season. I got a lot of fresh faces that I want to bring on the show for you guys to meet. And before I go into any of those formalities, I want to say thank you so much for supporting Be More today. We have been growing since 2014, and our mission has always been the same: to highlight ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And today my guest is no different. Before I get into that, just continue to watch us and follow us on all of our streams. BeMoreToday.com has information about my book, about our podcast information, about our music, and our workouts. On YouTube, we have workouts we've been putting out every single day to make sure you guys keep moving and stay active. As you guys know, January is here, so we've already started our Steps to Greatness Challenge for the month. We started January 1st with a 5K, a virtual 5K. We've been doing 40 days of workout. Moving forward, just making sure everybody keeps moving and grooving, staying active during this time. So if you have not seen us, go onto our YouTube page and just follow us, subscribe, and continue just to stay active, because it's the best way for us to stay healthy during these times. The Be More Today show is now heard in 30 countries. 30 countries, and that's all thanks to your love and support for this movement. So if you do want to support us in any single way, you can go on our site and you can donate if you want, or just continue just to listen to our shows, subscribe on your phones and your iPads and your tablets, and just stay moving with us as we take this new year by the horns and keep moving forward. My quotation for today is simple, as always, and it says, "With the right mindset, we can't lose. We either practice what we've learned, or we learn what we need to practice." Folks, I don't know about you, but this is a year where I'm going to work on the things that I'm not so good at. I think it's very easy for us to, like I said last year, to focus on what we do well. But to really start to get to the crux of what we need to do better, we have to look at what we're not doing well and get those things done. And it's not easy. It's a process that takes hard work. And I remember when I was at Brown doing triple jump and all these different activities there, practice was every single day. You had to really practice what you were not good at. You had to work on your craft. You had to hone your craft. I talk about it in my book, right? You have to really put time into these things. Some people say it's 10,000 hours, but sometimes it's even more than that to really be an expert in your field, whether it's at your job or it's on the field. And you got to put work into that thing, but you will see progress. You will see change. It just takes practice. So get out there, practice your craft. Do you have a resolution for this year? I know you do. And I'm not even talking about things you want to stop doing. Just start doing something. Get out there and do something new this year, not just for everybody else around you, but for you, so you can make sure that this year is going to be different than it was for last year. And my guest for today embodies that. He is the epitome of practice. He is someone who makes sure that he is in practice, but everyone around him also is getting their practice in. And his name is Ken Hunt. Now, Ken Hunt is a coach, but he's more than a coach. He has joined Brown's coaching staff in 2012 and coaches the men's and women's horizontal jumps, vertical jumps, and multi-events. Hunt was promoted to the position of associate head coach of track and field and Rothenberg Assistant Coaching Chair in September of 2020. Entering into his 8th season in 2019-20, the Bears had made stellar improvements under Hunt's direction, highlighted by 4 NCAA All-Americans in each of the past 4 years. Hunt has coached 5 total All-Americans at Brown, as well as 47 performers onto Brown's University's all top 10 lists, 10 school records, and 10 NCAA Regional qualifiers. Hunt was named the Northeast Region's Women's Assistant Coach of the Year by the U.S. Track and Field and Cross Country Coach Association for the 2019 outdoor season. He guided his athletes to 51 of the team's 59 points at the Ivy League Championships and coached Carly Paul to the all-time Ivy League record in heptathlon and was a national qualifier in the event. In addition, Hunt's long jumpers went 1, 2, and 3 at Heps, and 4 long and 1 high jumper all advanced to the NCAA East Preliminary meet, while the long jump squad ranked 4th in the nation. Hunt coached Carly Paul to an outstanding season in 2017. But prior to that in Brown, Hunt spent the 2011-12 season at LSU, having a hand in the team's NCAA National Outdoor Track and Field Championship and 12 NCAA indoor qualifiers. Prior to his start at LSU, Hunt coached the sprints, hurdles, and jumps at Georgia Southern University during the 2010 season. His event group won 4 individual titles and scored 163 of the team's 184 points at the Southern Conference Indoor and Outdoor Championships. Every student athlete who competed in jumps recorded personal bests during the 2010-11 indoor season. As a result, Hunt was a finalist for the 2010 NCAA Southern Regional Assistant Coach of the Year. Prior to his time in Georgia Southern, Hunt coached the Southern Illinois University Edwardsville, where his athletes set the SIUE records in the pentathlon, long jump, and pole vault. Hunt was also an assistant track and field coach at Marquette University. During his 2 years with the Golden Eagles, Hunt coached 10 Big East qualifiers and 4 NCAA Regional qualifiers. Prior to his career in college coaching, Hunt led the track team at Rufus King High School in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. In his 4 years as head coach at Rufus King, Hunt coached 100 all-conference athletes, 20 state champions, and 15 all-state athletes. He built the team from an initial roster of 45 to more than 150 participants. Hunt started his collegiate competition with the University of Wisconsin before finishing up at University of Milwaukee. Hunt finished his collegiate competition having set the university and the Horizon League indoor and outdoor triple jump records. Hunt has a bachelor's degree from University of Milwaukee in history and the USATF Level 2 coaching certificate for jumps. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, pets included, please welcome to the stage my new friend and the coach of the Brown University track and field team, Ken Hunt. Coach Hunt, what is going on?
Nothing much. Thank you for having me in this new year. So thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. I've been following from afar, and I came to when you guys competed at the Armory in the city. I forget what year that was, and sometime in the last 5 years, my daughter was with me. I came to the meet, and Ann, who I love dearly, because I was on a team from 99 to 03. I was captain for 2 years. I won indoor Ivy triple jump Heps my senior year, 2003. And Ann is like my mom. She's my everything. So she actually told me to look out for you. She told me, look out for this guy. He's doing great work. Just follow him, see what he's doing. And I've been doing that ever since. And I've been watching silently from afar on Instagram and social media. But I'm really impressed with the work you've been doing. I admire your tact and your skill with these athletes, and you've been putting in work. They've been seeing results, and it's just really, really exciting to see you come in here and just continue the legacy that Ann and that the coaching staff has set down from the jump. So I salute you, I applaud you, and I said for 2021 I had to have you on the show just because I think you're a pillar for the program now, and it's just great to see it. So welcome.
Thank you.
So I always start off with a little check-in and see how everybody's doing. I know 2020 was insane, clearly, but we're in 2021 now, and I just want to know, how you're doing, how your family is doing, and do like a COVID-19 check-in to see where you and your athletes are at this time.
So you'll find that I'm a pretty forward-looking individual. I always expect challenges in life, but when those challenges come about, we just, you deal with them the best way you know how, and you move forward, and 2020 was no different, presented a lot of challenges, obviously for the world, but, everybody individually as well. And I'm no, exception to that rule. I think a lot of things in 2020 is giving me a clearer perspective of the vision I need to have in 2021. I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason, and trying to take from it what you need to, like I said before, look forward and move ahead. So right now, we're my family at least doing well. Me and my wife, we're expecting our first child in March. So we'll have a young little girl, Mary Ann. So that's a blessing that's has been bestowed upon us, and looking forward to that. Every one of my athletes and family and friends says she's going to have me wrapped around her finger, but we'll see. We'll see. And then my family is doing okay. My immediate family, you know, we had a few setbacks with my mom and dad at the end of this 2020 season, but we're going to overcome those. You know, we're going to look forward and we're going to draw positivity from it all. Athletes as well, being energized, and one of my philosophies as a coach is to give you the truth, right? No matter what, I feel like you can still find motivation from being real, right? And not kind of like putting certain things, you know, downplaying it, you know. And like, oh, let's put it all on the forefront. Let's be honest, because you can get better plans if everything is on the table. So, same thing with the athletes. You know, everybody's from different parts of the country here, and they've been my glue, right? You know, as coaches, so often we get attached to a lot of the student athletes' accolades, but you know, they really bring a lot of needed support, needed love, needed, you know, everything, you know, into this coaching. So right now we're all doing well on this end and looking for what's ahead of us.
Well, I'm excited about your new addition to your family. I also have a daughter, and I'm told daily that I'm wrapped around her finger. So it's inevitable. Just get ready for it. It is what it is. And it's very exciting. It's very exciting. So I read your bio. I mean, your accolades are insane. I'm just curious. I'm always curious when people start coaching. Where did the interest come from? I know you were in track and field. Talk a little bit about your experience running and how that translated to you wanting to be a coach.
Yeah, so my interest in coaching actually started when I started doing club track. Now, I didn't go off the track and field in high school until the end of my junior year. I was a football and basketball guy. And one year to started the season, football coach came up to me, and he also was taking on the track responsibilities as well. I'm like, oh, you should, you know, come out for track. I said, what's that? You know what I'm saying? What is track and field? You know, never really oblivious. I was in my own little world, really didn't know. One of the oldest sports, you know, that you can think of, I didn't know. So, but long story short, I ended up going out for it, for the team. And my first event that, you know, people, you know, when they trying some new people out, you know, let's throw them in an event that's probably the least participated in, right? And that will be like the triple jump.
Exactly.
So I went out there and I immediately fell in love with the triple jump. Now, interesting story. I always tell any of the athletes I have, any recruit that ever come across me that's done a triple jump, I always tell them this. My first triple jump ever, I'll never forget it, because it was 33 feet in 3 quarters. Now, for those that don't do triple jump, you know, that's not that good, right? But my coach at the time, bless his heart, Coach Wolf, he was really an English teacher, right? Didn't really know the triple jump. He came up, oh, good job, good job. I actually felt pretty good for a second, right? I feel pretty good. And believe it or not, the conference was, the meet that was so bad that day that I actually made finals with that mess, right? Wow. So I was going up because I left my Gatorade. So I went up to get my Gatorade and I walked past the girls' pit. And it was a girl that went to the pit and she went, I think it was like 38-10, and some change. And I was like, what? I immediately didn't even go get my Gatorade. Went right back to my coach and said, that girl just went 38 some feet. He was like, yeah, they do that. I was like, but you just told me my 33 feet was good, So that right there actually started one of the philosophies that I was telling you about just giving me the truth. It wouldn't hurt my ego. It wouldn't hurt anything about me if you would tell me, well, we got some work to do. You know what I'm saying? Right. And you set a goal. Now, crazy story is, by that summer, I had qualified for USATF Nationals, Junior Olympics, having going 49-1. So I picked up, man, this is how I got, and I said, can you just give me some books, give me some videos, back then it's VHS, right? Mm-hmm. So give me all this sort of stuff, right? And I literally, that's when I began kind of like studying the movements and motions. So when I look at video and I go over video of anything, I don't just try to look at it from a technical standpoint. I look at it from a sensational standpoint. What exactly made this person be feeling at this moment, right? So it's kind of like, that's what got me through. I would watch those videos because I can't go out there and see myself, right? I can't have an out-of-body experience. And we was dirt poor, so I ain't no cameras, definitely didn't have no phone cameras, right? Mm-hmm. So I had to go based on sensation and feel, what it felt like. So that drove me a little bit. And then I started doing the club coaching a little bit. And I started early because I was still in high school because we didn't have a jumps coach for my club. So I was coaching athletes as I was still jumping, and the collegiate aspect of coaching did not come to me until my freshman year in college at Wisconsin, when I had just absolutely awesome coaches and Coach Nuttycomb and Coach Napier. So, and they really drew that vision for me to start collegiate coaching. And there it was kind of just like, how do you get into the world of collegiate coaching? So
it's funny. I feel like we live very similar track experiences, watching video, because even Ann back in the day would just give me this one VHS that I literally watch every single Friday. And it just went through, it was like a 15-20 minute video, but just this one guy just showing you different phases of the triple jump, how you're doing it and what you're supposed to be doing. I just watched it every single Friday. I watched it religiously every single Friday. And yeah, we didn't have phones, we didn't have all kind of stuff back then. So it was a different time. But the fact that someone just said to you, you walked by and saw someone who did something bigger than what you were doing, and the light bulb went off, and then you went from 33 to 49. That to me is insane, and it just gives me more ammunition to recognize that you were probably destined to be a coach, in the sense that if you can motivate yourself to do that, you can do that for others. And I'm excited to hear more about your story. So you did that with the coaching staff, and then how did the Brown University opportunity come up? Like, how did you and Brown link up at all?
Yeah. So I was at the time before I received a call from Tim Springfield, who was the interim director at the time, and I was down at LSU. So I was down at LSU at that time, working with the program and working with the professional athletes down there. And one of the coaches down at LSU said, I think Brown might, have a position coming up. And I will be totally honest and straightforward with everyone. I've never heard of Brown, right? And the Ivy League, especially from an athletic standpoint, because remember, I'm coming from the Power 5 world, right? Of the University of Wisconsin. Now I'm in the SEC. So it's kind of like, I wasn't really, from an athletic standpoint, I was not thinking of the Ivy League, right? And so Brown didn't hit my radar whatsoever. So funny story is, Tim Springfield ended up calling me, and he started just, talking about Brown, and what it was and what he found was kind of interesting. I had made a pact with myself. Now, anyone who knows me knows I cannot stand the cold. Yes, I'm from Wisconsin, but I do not like the cold whatsoever. And he's sitting here, and one thing he's mentioned, I'm like, where are you located? Oh yeah, we're in Providence, Rhode Island. I'm like, yeah, where's that? Right. Where exactly is that at? Oh, that's up in the Northeast, between Boston and New York. Like, oh, cold. Oh, okay, it's cold, right? And he's like, but you're from Wisconsin. I said, but I'm in Louisiana right now, right? So, but he told me, get it as bad as Wisconsin, and I could believe that. I ended up being really intrigued by the how he explained what the academics and the athletic balance was for me. Because when I spent my time at Rufus King, they and at the high school, they had a very nice balance that I always enjoyed about obviously putting that academics first, but also valuing the athletic part of the student's experience. So that really intrigued me, and then dove more into it, realized we had an indoor facility. So I have climate control, right? And then I spoke with some of the athletes. I believe it was Evan Weinstock was on that call. Hannah Wallace was on that call. That stick out to me especially since they were kind of in that event group that I was going to be coaching. And they spoke about kind of like just the turnover, right? Turnover of the coaches that they had, and how, and like I said, I watch video enough, and I can feel a movement, and listen to them talk. I can feel what they were expressing about what they wanted to do, what they wanted to accomplish, their athleticism that they know was deep down in there. And as a coach, I know you can't do that having a carousel of coaches come through. You just can't develop any consistency. So that attached to me really, really quickly. And then when I got up here, I just, I kind of really enjoyed what I saw and the possibilities that could come from it. So
that is an extensive story, and I don't know. It's funny. New England is cold, right? For whatever it is, it's cold, but it's also very, very beautiful. But yeah, I can definitely see you coming from LSU, recognizing that New England cold is a different kind of cold. But I'm so glad that you decided to take that jump and to join the team. And when I was an athlete there, we had a number of people who were there for a long time, and I think that it definitely helped to build camaraderie and to build the program. And it's easy when you have a program that is consistent like that, because people see that and they want to be a part of that. But when you're coming into a program that, like you said, has a lot of turnover, it can be somewhat challenging in terms of recruiting, in terms of keeping your athletes, in terms of building momentum. So for you to come in to the program at that time, and then to build upon that, to be so successful, I mean, it just shows, again, more kudos to you and your coaching staff for what you guys have been able to do during this tenure. And I've been following you guys and just seeing all of the success, and it's been exciting to watch, because I always believe that, again, it's no LSU, right? I really think it's different in terms of the competitiveness, but you've upped the ante for the athletes. I mean, the athletes that we have now are competing on a level that is par with the other leagues, and it's great to see us continue to elevate the game, elevate the sport, elevate the coaching staff, and even the competitiveness of the sport in general. And that's all, again, kudos to your coaching and your tenacity to make sure people are doing what they have to do. I was reading your bio again about the Rothenberg Assistant Coaching Chair. Now, what exactly is your role in that, and how does that change in terms of your actual coaching role?
Okay, so obviously I still have the my event coaching responsibilities. All the horizontal and vertical jumps, along with both the men and women multis. But the administrative things take on a kind of like a more elevated role, in which I will oversee more of the dynamics from the speed and power standpoint. So obviously that's going to include sprints and hurdles and throws with Coach Gabu and Coach Kinsley. We're going to work side by side to really strengthen that component of the program. So, and obviously that there's a lot that's attached to that, right? So you have recruitment, which is the number one biggest, aspect of all of that. And then within the recruiting, trying to juggle prospective student athletes and see who's on what list. I always call recruiting meetings kind of like the war room, because every coach is going for who their recruit, and the end game, the end goal is to be in those like good, difficult situations, right? That we're making decisions of recruits that are very good caliber athletes, and that we're trying to bring into the program. So, and that brings into the difficulties of Ivy League recruiting. So all the other stuff stays the same. I'm still got equipment duties, tons and tons of emails, all this stuff. So all the other administrative and logistical stuff kind of stays the same, but adding that one big part of the focus within that speed and power is.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's funny how you're bringing back all these memories of my recruiting process with Brown as you're talking about what's happening. And, I was kind of like you. I started track later in high school because the school I went to before didn't have a track and field program. So, I played things like baseball and whatever else in the springtime. But when I actually got to school, I had track. My coach also just threw me in the triple jump. He was like, just go out there and try it. And I remember not being that good, but good enough to win meets. There's no real form. I was just kept just doing it. And then I remember when and I wrote about this in my book, when I actually did get better at it, and I was jumping in like the 42 range, 43 range, which was good for me because I hadn't done anything. And Ann saw me at a meet, and I won Dartmouth relays, and I didn't realize that in meeting her and seeing her there, that would have been the start of my journey into being recruited at Brown and whatever else. And it just brings back to mind all the things that I remember meeting her and going through the process. And as an athlete, you're vying for yourself to all these different schools. You're going. I went to Princeton. I went to Harvard. I went to Penn. You're pushing yourself, and their coaches are pushing for you as well. And the only reason I went to Brown is because I got recruited for UPenn and I got recruited for Brown. And the coach for UPenn left in the middle of my recruiting process. And I remember Ann was so adamant about, you want to go to a school where the person that you're bringing in, or the person who's bringing you in, is going to be there to make sure that you can have your 4 years with support. And when she said that to me, it was an automatic, it was game over. And then she became like a mom for me. And I didn't know that as a coach, with all that you're doing, I know you're a father for athletes, you're a brother for these athletes, you're everything for them. And, I think coaching for me is so, it's such an interesting aspect and a powerful aspect of my career at Brown, because yes, academics were there, of course, and all the other things that were happening there. But the coach athlete interaction, that relationship is so serious. It's so integral to your college experience. And I don't know if a lot of people who are not involved in athletes while they're in school recognize that. You're more than a coach. You're a mentor. You're a dad. You're a brother. You're a shoulder to cry on. I mean, I know people come to you for grade advice and for family advice and all kinds of other things. So you're more than anything that even your resume can say. And with that being said, I'm curious how during this season, right, this COVID-19 season, where it's been so stressful for all these athletes, some of them who were not even able to compete this year at all, right? I know there are other conferences who have done certain things, but when it comes to your conference and in your school and our school, there was no track and field this year. How do you keep your athletes motivated during one of the most challenging times in our modern day history? What have you done to make sure these students are still, there and still excited about coming back to school and still excited about being in the program?
I think it just boils down to, like I said, kind of in the beginning, it's like, just be real, right? I mean, life is going to throw us challenges. I mean, we can't get past it. And I always tell them, coming in when they're freshmen, didn't matter whether they were a highly recruited athlete or whether they were a walk-on. They all got big aspirations. And it's so fun. I always tell them that, your aspirations is always going to take a hit, because those aspirations are going to hit reality. And then you're going to have to realize that there's a lot of work that has to be done. There's a lot of uncertainty behind, this path that you're getting ready to take. And you just got to be ready for it. When we walked into this pandemic, or it walked on us, right? Everyone was like, oh, no one, expected to, could been prepared for this. And it's like, well, if you prepared, if you expect the unexpected, right, you can somewhat mentally cope, even though how you have to deal with it may be new, and you may have to learn. You may have to, step up to that challenge. So I think motivating the athletes became a little bit easier for me, especially, let me make the distinction, motivating my returning athletes who I've had a chance to see on campus and interact with, get to know them, because like you were saying, that's a very, very a big part. I can't coach the athlete. I can't help the student if I don't know the person. So, being able to draw those connections and have those conversations where someone's saying something to me and it's like, you're not okay. You said okay, but you're not okay. because you've seen them enough to kind of know, and you build that rapport enough to know. The more challenging aspect of it has been for the freshmen, because our freshmen haven't even been on campus yet. Right. So they don't come until this, the January 22nd start, and onward through the summer. So, and they're coming into being remote and everything else. So I think that's going to be a new facet. And then you have, nothing new here, NCAA rules, right, and regulations and compliance, and of when and how you can talk to the athletes and the freshmen, since they're technically not enrolled. All of these various difficulties with it. But the biggest motivation that I've been trying to instill still is confidence in themselves. Not to be, no pun intended here, but be more, right? Of yourself. And these are the opportunities to get to know yourself so often. We had conversations within the group where this step back kind of helped a lot of them to see things that, if the life was going on as normal, it would have went over their heads. A lot of things in our country has changed, how we view and we looked at things, because people have had to sit down, sit back, but most importantly, they can see, evaluate, and interpret for themselves. And I think that was the big part of what I'm trying to motivate them to do.
Yeah, that's key. I think that's integral, and I know, because again, I was in that position, and I'm not in these kids' positions at all, because I can't imagine not competing, because you think about it, you've been doing this for umpteen years, every single day, it becomes a part of you, especially if you're a senior. And if you're a freshman, not even recognizing, what the initial thought of whatever you were thinking it was going to be like when you first stepped on campus, and now recognizing that you haven't done any of those things yet. It's just challenging. And again, I can't even imagine, but I can definitely, have empathy for these kids. And like you said, it is what it is. We have to make the most of it, and we got to keep pushing forward. And it hasn't even been the COVID-19 stuff that's been the most challenging, I think. And you can let me know how your experience has been, because you were there. This year with the cuts and the reinstallation of the men's program. Can you talk to listeners about what exactly happened in terms of the recent cuts that were happening with the program and the reinstating of the program, and how that affected your team and your athletes?
Yeah, so as is well noted, it was a shock to everyone that the men's program was being cut. But anyone who knows, the slightest thing about track and field knows that the men and women's team are, woven at the seams, highly connected. So what happens to one happens to the other. So it was it was an extreme hit, and two things came from that: the shock, right? But then for me, the awe factor was how in awe it was how everybody came together, and how everybody came together and became like the bond was stronger, amongst the team, men and women, and it was some deep conversations that had, and it's, people, we all having conversations about how the pandemic has affected us. So now you have that pandemic on top of the social injustice awareness and issues that was going on top of a program being cut. So everyone could now, despite what they may have been going through, can understand how this cut affected, especially our Black male athletes, and conversations existed from all of this, and pain was expressed, right? Pain was expressed in ways, especially within my group when we spoke, that wasn't revealed before. And then you just get to know more about people when they allow themselves to be a little vulnerable, right? And then, and that vulnerability you're more comfortable to be vulnerable when you're amongst people that you trust and support you. So that was a a hard hit for that. Recruiting is going to be to be seen. I always tell people, when they ask me about this, that it's not just recruiting isn't just the actual student athlete. You're recruiting the family. You're recruiting their coaches that all of them have grown to love and trust. I've had more calls from some of the my friends, but some are coaches who are club coaches, high school coaches, wanting to know what's going on, and you got to repair that as well. Because it's like they're in a position that they want to send their athletes off to somewhere where they're going to be taken care of, right? And the same thing you just said that Ann told you, same thing for a program, right? Coach, you want your coach to be there and it's going to help see you through all your years here. It's the same thing about a program. So that is a hit that like I said, that we took on the chin, and now we got to see what lies ahead of us, because I don't know if there's a clear answer to that. Right? I don't know if there's a clear answer, but all I can do is be in control of what I know and what I'm capable of handling as a coach, and building upon that.
Yeah, that's solid. I know that when we first heard the news, a number of alumni who I haven't spoken to in years reached out, and I'm 03, but my time there was to 99. So people who were 99 to 03 reached out to me, and athletes who were under me reached out to me, and people who were I didn't even know. Just the people came, like you said, they came together on various platforms, on Facebook and social media, and letters were written, and texts were sent out, money was raised, and the program was reinstated. And we were so, when we heard the news, literally both announcements, we heard that the cut was done. We got a letter from the president about it. A certain shock and sadness came to me, and I haven't run in 20 years, but just to think that that outlet would not have been there. Brown and track to me is synonymous. There's no Brown University for me without track and field, because that was my experience there, and vice versa. So I just know for anyone who was there and is there, separating those two would have been devastating. And like you said, the men's and women's teams, they're one team. There's no triple jump without me having a female training partner, and vice versa for all the other events. So I'm so happy that the program was reinstated. I'm so happy that it continues to go on. But we are seeing, and I know you've seen this more than I have because you're in the trenches, a number of programs across the country are being targeted. It wasn't just Brown University. It was a number, and has been and continues to be a number of programs, but in particular men's programs, that are being cut across the country. What are your thoughts on the sport, track and field, moving in the next 10 years? Do you see the continuing cuts of these programs? Do you feel like there is hope that the programs can be revitalized? I mean, we're looking at a sport that, like you said, has been one of the oldest sports known to man. When we talk about the Olympics, track and field is one of those sports. There are a number of things that have come after that have become Olympic sport, but track and field, from the foundation of how we've been as athletes, has always been that thing running. It's constant in every single sport. So the fact that these things are being cut, and the fact that the programs are being reduced in various places around the country, what are your thoughts as a coach in terms of the next 10 years, looking at track and field in the future, and how are you assessing your status and the status of other programs, and how we should be progressing into the next couple of years?
Yeah, and with the various cuts and everything of the programs, many institutions have given various reasons, right? The Browns' reason for doing what they did is different for what Clemson is expressing, or what the University of Minnesota has expressed. So, and this is just my opinion alone, I feel like track and field is like for some programs, it seems to be the easiest programs to kind of cut, because I think when administrators are doing these sort of things, they also have to look at potential blowback. Of course, they're going to expect people to be sad. Of course, they're going to expect people to be mad. But how many, right? And how forceful of a blowback are they going to get? And let's be honest. Not only is our sport of track and field one of the oldest, it's the most readily available for those who are not of a certain status in our society. So money moves. I always say that. Money moves, and a lot of times people aren't going to make certain decisions if it's going to affect money. So it's just the reality of it. And I think that that's a hit that you take sometimes with our sport because it is catered to anyone who's willing to get out there, lace them up, and go at it. Right? You don't need any special fancy equipment or expensive equipment. You don't need that. So I think that took a real hit, and then in the next 10 years, it's going to remain to be seen. But I think if as a track and field community, and like you mentioned, it's not just me as a current coach, it's former coaches, it's former student athletes, it's alumni, it's everyone, and not just at our institutions. It says that we have to bond as a sport. We have to bond as a sport and realize that it's not just about the sport. And you hit this right on the nail. It's the opportunities that the sport allow people to have. And that is what's really threatened, right? So when we get down to it, it's the opportunities for people that is being threatened, not just the sport. And it goes real big into that. You mentioned it, men and women at practices and training together and everything else. It's like, if we want to embody how sports in general can give life skills to growing young adults, you don't want to take those opportunities away. And our sports is, it's so diverse, right? In so many aspects that you're taking lots and lots of opportunities away. Yeah. So I'm hoping in next 10 years, we can bond to come together as a collective community and let that be the true message that needs to be kept out there.
Yeah. Well said, sir. Well said. Folks, if you're just joining us, this is episode 42 of the Be More Today. So season 2, I'm here with Coach Ken Hunt. He is the Associate Head Coach in Track and Field and the Rothenberg Assistant Coaching Chair. And he is, I can say now, a friend of mine. We live similar lifestyles in the sense that we both are triple jump crazy people. And Coach Ken, thank you so much for joining me today. I have a couple more questions for you. And the first question is pretty simple because it just really is more about you. Soon-to-be father, coach, athlete. You wear a lot of different hats, but you also have a lot of different, if I'll say, children, right? All your athletes are pretty much your kids, your babies, which means that's a lot of stories, a lot of stress can actually come on you from having to juggle all the different tasks that you're having to do. How do you balance everything? How do you decompress? What do you do to make sure that you can be your best for your athletes and even for your family?
Okay. So one big thing about me as well is I have a lot of things that I make sure that I speak kind of into existence. So I never refer to any of my athletes as anything less than what they are, young adults, and we do a lot of times because, words matter, right? And I always tell this, like if any coaches come around me and they know it and they'll say, oh, I'm getting ready to go to practice with the kids. I was like, you coach kids? I always say that because what we are expecting and what we are helping these young adults to do is be adults, right? Grow into themselves and be who they are. So our language matters. I do the same thing when we're in a group. I refer to my group as squad or crew. I don't say guys, especially if I have, individuals that identify as women in my group. It's like I have to acknowledge the existence of everyone. We do the reverse. If we had a whole room full of women and that one guy, you will not say, hey, ladies. you will acknowledge these instances of that one guy that's sitting in that room or in that group. And we have to do it the reverse as well. So I'm very cautious of my language and the word choice that I'm using. And to be honest with you, that's probably how I decompress. It's so weird. I don't necessarily feel like I have to step away from anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of like what you was going off of earlier about, you know, things to be learned and things and implementing things you learned. It's like that's within the moment sometimes. Now I have lots of outlets that help me decompress, like Ann, you know, she's always there, you know, there. She probably gets sick of me hitting her up with something, and I'll send a quick little text. Are you free? She knows what that means. You want to talk? You know what I'm saying? Yes. So that has helped. She has been like a great influence on me here. Obviously, my wife, my family, you know, and stepping away from the athletes is not decompressing because I am sane because of them. Yeah. So they're that kind of, it's that kind of I don't know what the best word for it, but situation that I literally do not find myself stressed too often. I really don't. I actually feel like stress is kind of like a unuseful feeling, you know? So I'm not even gonna think about it. There's something I can do that's productive right now. Mm-hmm. You know, we talked about the freshmen and the seniors. So yes, you know, I talked about the freshmen, even with the seniors. Yes, you know, you still have some seasons that might be gained from an eligibility standpoint. Maybe we can use that as a grad year. Can't do it in Ivy League, but let's see what we can find out for you. You know, so there's still things to be done within the situation. If you breathe, take a after that collective sigh, take a look at it. And I think that's probably, like I said, probably why I was probably meant to be a coach, you know, because just the way that I kind of internalize things and kind of just see them, you know. Mm-hmm. So
cool. Yeah, no, I hear that. Now it's funny. So, you know, I love Ann, and Ann, I had coaches in high school, but Ann was the best coach I've ever had, clearly. But I was always curious how Ann was able to show me how to do stuff, and she had never done it, right? I was amazed by it because I know she went to these classes and did training and user experience and honed her craft so she can coach someone to do something that she actually can't do, which to me is incredible and amazing, right? But I'm curious for you, because you have run, you ran, right? You ran, you jumped, and the thing that you're showing your athletes, you actually have done. Do you think that puts you in a different or a better position in terms of coaching? Do you feel like a coach needs to have that experience on the field and to apply that off the field? 'Cause, I mean, this is all for all sports, right? So my basketball, whatever else. There are a number of people who coach who may or may have played the game. Right. Mm-hmm. And some have played the game, and some have ran the races, and some have not. Do you think that gives you an edge over other coaches who have not done those things? Or you feel like, hey, a coach is a coach, and if you can inspire someone to do something, then you can get them to do whatever you need them to do?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they did it. You know, like I said, a coach is a coach. And I look at it like this: when does that ball move, right? So if you're saying, oh, you need to, and you will get some athletes that feel like this. They feel like they sometimes feel if I talk more to that elite athlete that's performing on a certain level, more so than the coach, I can reach that level that they're at. That's two different perspectives. You know, two different perspectives of trying to get to the same spot, right? And that's the biggest thing that one would they want to be able to remove themselves. Now, and you got to remember, even me starting out, I had never did it. It took me watching video and thinking about how that might feel. So if I did it to get involved in the sport, anybody can do that. Oh, I imagine what that would feel like. I imagine what should come from it, you know? And there's many ways that come at inspiring someone. And I think as a coach, if you could inspire and motivate to get, student athletes to embark on a goal or vision and not like be distracted by being distracted. that anybody can do that. Anybody can do that. So I always will push back from the standpoint that a coach has to have done it. And like I said, the ball moves, right? So if you're going to say that, I as a triple jumper, I did the triple jump, so therefore I inherently may be able to coach it better. Well, what happens over time? What if new developments, new knowledge, new everything is gained, right? I can no longer do the triple jump when I'm 60, right? So it's not the same. Can I not coach it? Now, can I not coach triple jump now because it has changed? You know what I'm saying? So when does that ball move of people moving out of being able to actually coach it? So I feel like it boils down to that special quality that coaches have to have in order to inspire.
Got it. If you were not coaching, sir, what would you be doing?
Oh, so I definitely think that if I was not coaching, one of my biggest passions, believe it or not, coming up was to be a state trooper. I actually wanted to be a state trooper. Even now, I'm kind of fascinated. My mentor from Wisconsin is a sheriff deputy, and that I always thought that was where I was going to go. Because I grew up inner city Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Going through school, never thought about college. I ended up being the first generation. And the only reason we talk about opportunities, the only reason why not only did I get into college, I even had an aspiration of what college was because of track and field and the avenues and everything and opportunities that it opened up to me. And I was fortunate enough to go into my first year in college where I had mentors, up there from, Craig up in University of Wisconsin, to my coaches that invested in me, so I that definitely would have been my path that I would have chosen. I like to joke around with the athletes a little bit and tell them that it might have been a comedian, but they always tell me no, because you're the only one that laugh at your jokes. But I said, well, they got to start somewhere, right? But yeah, so that definitely probably would have been
cool. And what's one thing you want to start for this new year, 2021?
To start, I think it's probably already started for me. Right now I'm, thinking of ways that I can be ready as a father, and preparing that. And for me, I'm always about understanding self more, and anything for me that's going to help me better understand what mental space I need to be in to be and to give other people opportunities to reach that same kind of like space. Because I feel like I'm in a very good position of knowing who I am. And a lot of people who's on that search, that can be a gloom and doom kind of process, when you're trying to figure things out. And I think for me, going into this new year with those who are in my circle, those who may come across, I want to help them in ways that I was helped to achieve who they're meant to be. That's kind of just who I am.
Yeah. So. Yeah, absolutely. Last major question for you. So we have this platform, Be More Today. It's my mantra. I wrote a whole book about Be More Today and my experiences running track at Brown and my other experiences in life. But track for me, it just made my life integrally just better as a person, as a physical therapist, as a father, as someone who sees adversity in various ways and just tries to inspire other people just to be the best version of themselves. It became that thing for me. And the mantra, Be More Today, is something that we ask everybody on the show what it means to them. So Coach Ken, for 2021, What do you think the phrase "Be More Today" means to you?
If I threw one word in it, it would be growth, right? It would be growth. Being more today allows for great opportunities and possibilities tomorrow, and seizing the moment that we have, sidestepping any sort of fears of what might, come ahead of us. Be more today, and I think there's no greater important phrase for each one of us, like I said and previously, individually to grow within ourselves so that we are in better positions to help other people be more tomorrow. So
well said, sir. Any final tips you want to share with aspiring coaches, aspiring track and field, collegiate runners, or anything you want to share for anyone listening right now?
Be humble and give, and I'm a firm believer that, those who make a habit of giving receive more, and they don't even realize until they look back on things because they weren't spending their times worried about receiving. So I think, for, upcoming, coaches, even some of those that I'm trying to help out that, based off of who've helped me, stay the course. Stay the course is not going to be easy. Anything worth having isn't. And for the inspiring collegiate athletes, in our new norms, that's to be, stay inspired. Stay inspired, and the best is yet to come. Awesome. Coach Ken, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. You've made episode 42 one for the books. I really, really appreciate it. I'm going to continue to follow you and your movement with the Brown Track Field program. I really, really am impressed with all you've done. And I've seen you from afar, but I hope that one day soon I can see you in person and we can really connect. Absolutely. Thank you for this opportunity to become part of the family here. Great things are ahead of us. Awesome. Coach, where can people connect with you on social media or otherwise? Right now, probably the ideal place will be our Instagram page, Brown_jumps. I post a lot of things there, and obviously on our track and field websites, which is also on Instagram, and on Facebook is just Brown Track and Field and Cross Country. So awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And for those of you who forgot, I quote from the beginning of the show: with the right mindset, we can't lose. We either practice what we've learned or learn what we need to practice. Go out there, folks. And if you're a runner, if you're a jumper, sprinter, hurler, whatever you are, make sure you're still harnessing your crafts, because you never know when it's time for you to hop back on that field and do what you have to do. And if you're not a runner, right, if you're someone who just goes out there and is your 9-to-5 daily job or whatever you're doing, look, it's the same mindset. Get out there, make sure that this is the year where we can just be better. We can be more. 2020 is finally behind us. Let's make the most of every single day. We're alive to do it. So go out there and make the most of everything that you have to do in your life. For those who want to follow us, Be More Today, still just watch us on Be More Today page, BeMoreToday.com for our book, music, podcast information, of course. And if you want to be a supporter or a sponsor, you can go on there and you can donate or support us in the movement of the podcast. We really appreciate all the love and support we've gotten so far. And we will continue to move forward in 2021 with that same vigor, that same spirit, that same energy for the rest of this year. If you want to see somebody else on the show that you have in mind, or you want to give suggestions or just share your thoughts, email us at BeMoreToday, that's BeMore2day@gmail.com, or feel free to send me a message on any of my social media platforms. I see everything. So send me whatever you want to send me. I'll get back to you. The Words for Life podcast is every single Wednesday, as you guys know, so you can watch out for that as well. And for those of you who joined us for this episode today, thank you so much. And as I always say, have a good day, have a good night, have a great life, and continue to take your steps to greatness to be the best version of you. Peace.